When I see a black man and one man, I think of strength, black empowerment we have within, building community development. Let's continue to build our own. Let's continue to stay strong. Motivation, no matter the hate, no stopping. You just go. Listen up to Quan, John, and Queen P for giving us a voice. Speak up for what's yours and yell and make that noise. We are kings and we are queens. Melanated royalty, just getting started. Loving self, self and knowledge. Stack that wealth. Motivational motors, y'all.
Tiptoeing on marble flows, sexy sway when you walk, then you stop and pose. I'm never opposed to the things you may impose. Treat you like a queen the way a grown man suppose. May I propose a plan to help us both grow? I'm talking spiritual, elevating our mental and bonding our energies together till we form a synergy. A sacred exchange in between you and me. Through that affinity, we can conquer infinity. Whatever's meant to be, meditating, we see our destiny. I'm so ahead of my time, baby, as you can see, navigated to start to find you through astrology.
Booyah, back at you, Motivation Motors, where we have interesting discussions with black people who've overcome adversity and route to prosperity. We got your boy, Quan John, and Miss Portia Steak. What up, baby? Yeah. As always, you know what I'm saying? For real, you know, this is a very dear conversation to me, man, because I met this brother at the Buy Black event, which I spoke about in previous podcasts in Raleigh, North Carolina. It was the bomb. And my brother, he was one of the vendors there. And it was something about him that really touched my spirit. You know what I mean? We spoke briefly. And I'm like, you know what? This dude, he has a message and he needs to be on the Motivational this podcast because he's definitely overcome adversity and route to prosperity. We got my boy, Chuck G. What up, Chuck?
Yo, what's going on, King? How you doing? Appreciate y'all having me on.
Thank you, brother. You know what I mean? So, my man is an MC and I want you guys to check him out. It's called The Introduction, Chuck G on YouTube. It's banging. It's a very positive message. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of taking us back to the essence of what hip hop is about. That's the feeling I got, Chuck, when I listen to your rhymes. Is that kind of, you know, spot on? You know what I mean? What type of MC are you?
Yeah, that's spot on. I want to be the type of MC, man, that's gonna change the whole narrative of the message that's being put out to our community right now. We receive a message of destruction, regardless of what anybody say about it. When it comes to drugs and disrespecting the women, once that is glorified, then you start to tear down the community. So my hope, destroy and rebuild everything that we take hold of today is something that's put in place to knock us off course and to keep us disarray, to not focus on the things that we really need to focus on. So that's where my music come in. I'm gonna talk about that and rebuilding the black community and stuff. And I don't like calling our women the B word. I don't like referring to us as the N word.
Right.
And I tend not to use profanity lyrics. It take away from the message.
Got you.
That's
you know
very
what?
clear.
That's real clear because I mean, one of my favorite MCs of all time, I believe, Rakim, he never cursed in his rhymes. Never.
Yeah.
Never. If you think about it, back in the days, the Rakims and the Canes and all of them, they didn't curse in their rhymes. That's why when I heard you, it kind of took me back to the mid 80s, the 88 rappers. You understand?
I appreciate
For real. Absolutely. Who's some of your inspirations, man, in rhyming growing up? Who inspired Chuck G to start putting that pen to that paper?
Man, Tupac.
Pac.
Pac
One of the greatest of all times.
Man, Pac
if
was
not the greatest.
If not the greatest, that's right. It was Tupac.
Tupac?
Coming from Mississippi and not having my pops in my life, I gravitated for lyrics. And then it's crazy, but I've heard other people say it too. But through his music, he became sort of like a father figure for me. So I gravitated heavily.
Absolutely. I definitely second that, man, because Pac and you know, when you think about Pac, you automatically think about Big too. Because since I'm a native New Yorker, you know, I think Big was a better lyricist, but Pac was a better all-around rapper. You understand? For real. His message was greater. You know what I'm saying? His of course he was a better performer. You know what I'm saying? And then he had the creative acting prowess on his side too. So it's crazy. It's like the loss of Tupac. Don't it make you feel like the same like when we lost Malcolm X, even though none of us were alive when Malcolm X was going, but it's who we know of Malcolm X. It kind of makes you think about him and Pac was synonymous, man. It's like they was here for a minute, you know what I'm saying? And they were so powerful, inspirational, and they were taken away from us because of their message. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I think our children 20 years down the line, they're going to look at Pac the way we look at Malcolm. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Right.
For real, man. Revolutionaries. For real, Miss Portia.
No, I was just going to say definitely check. What you're saying is so very clear in your music. The lyrics that you have, your word choice, your tone, your cadence, all of that is so very telling. And it really lets us know who influences you. And you know what? It hadn't occurred to me, and I don't know why. Maybe because I'm a youngin', I don't know. But it hadn't occurred to me that Rakim never curses in his music.
He never
like you saying that, I'm just like, really?
Nope. He didn't have to. And Kane, he did probably a little bit. Not even much, though.
But what I like, though, what I like, Chuck, about your music, though, is you do have that element that most people don't have anymore. And it is a message. Most people don't have messages nowadays. When they write songs or they do whatever, they just talk about whatever's trending, whatever's hot at that moment. You know what I mean? So you have a lot of present day rappers. A lot of them are talking about drugs and women and hustling. Whether or not they actually do them is irrelevant. They're rapping about it because that's the trend. That's what's hot right now. The message is lost. There is no message. And I think it's funny, Q, that you mentioned that we can compare Malcolm X to Tupac. It was because both of them had a message, but then, like you said, they had the style, they had the talent and the creativity to deliver that message. Because just having that message is not enough. You need to be able to deliver
That's
it.
right.
And
Absolutely.
their delivery was incredible. So yeah, definitely. Chuck, what I want to know though is like, and not too many rappers like to talk about this. I don't know if it's like a personal choice or whatever, but I always want to know, when you get in the studio and you start writing, like, where do you go in your mind to write, to create the lyrics that you have? Like, how do the lyrics come to you?
So with me, it's the only way I can explain it is like, so I come across my beat first. I automatically know the beat that I'm gonna write to because there's an emotional tie. I start crying to the beat. So when that happened, I know that, okay, once I get those emotions, then the lyrics, they automatically come. But it's like somebody standing behind me whispering in my ear what to sorry about that. It's like somebody standing behind me whispering in my ear what to write. And so the way it come across, the way I hear it, is what I put on the paper. And those lyrics are guided by tears as well. So my whole writing process for me is spiritual. That's the reason I can't rap like the other cats rap nowadays or whatever, but it'll be that's too much destruction. It's pointless.
That's right.
I done been during my time in the military. I done hustled. I done been under investigation for gang activity. I could talk about all of this, but at the same time, what's the purpose in it? What's the meaning?
Right.
Yeah.
What's the patient? I don't want to glorify that because I know during that time in my life, I was in an angry space. I was frustrated. I grew up without my pops, so I grew up having low self-esteem, lack of confidence, so I was trying to figure it all out. I was angry. So when you don't know, you go and you gravitate to those things that's being glorified until you figure out what being a man is all about.
That's true.
Then you start putting aside all those childish things.
So what is your, I would say, your most moving song on your latest album, the introduction of Chuck G? Like, out of your whole track list, and there's 8 of them, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so out of all 8 of those songs, which one of those is like the most moving for you? Like when you hear it, you be like, yeah, that's me on a track. Like, which one?
Close your eyes.
Lonely nights I cry. Lonely nights I ride, lonely nights I cry. Gin and marijuana just to calm me down inside. Younger without the guidance, them demons I should've got them. You gotta remain a pilot, in control, on balance. Who me? I'm falling victim to the bullshit. Trying to maneuver through life, avoiding traps that's set. Avoiding people that's hating while dodging those that be faking. While hustling, making this paper. Everyday life in the matrix. This is the life of the fatherless. Got it by father time, got it by ancestors. Like I got ancient eyes. A man before his time, I'm told by those before my time. Conversation and knowledge dropping before our time. Life lessons, experience lived throughout our times. We just share it to build and try to unlock minds. They say knowledge is the key. So do you from me? Knowledge is what I bring. It's Chuck G.
So Close Your Eyes, what type of space were you in when you wrote Close Your Eyes?
So
At that, if you can,
during my
disclose.
when I was working on that album, I had just moved to Washington, but I was coming out of I was going through a breakup. Me and my fiance, we were separating.
Oh.
So I went to Washington with my sisters. They're still in the military, and they started just working on me, guiding me towards self-love. So Close Your Eyes was just a reflection of my childhood, my upbringing, my everything I went through in the military. So me writing that was the hardest song that it took me the longest to get over, just the crying part, so I can record that. Yeah, I even to this day, if I put it on and ride, I have to fight back tears when I listen to it.
Oh.
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah, that's
You know
that
what?
one.
I could see now I could see the connection that you have with Tupac, because Tupac was also that type of rapper and person. You know what I'm saying? From interviews and listening to his songs, Pac was the type of dude that he would cry. If he was angry, he would cry. You know what I'm saying? And even in some of his songs, it seemed like he either just was crying or was about to cry in some of his songs. You can hear it. You can hear the pain and the emotion in it. And I think that a lot of us as Black men, which I'm quite sure as a Black man, we are taught to not cry.
Not cry.
You understand? So I got a son that's 22. So me personally, I think I'm come from a different cloth. You know what I'm saying? By way of my parents, how they raised me specifically. And I never taught that to my son. You know what I'm saying? Even when he was little. You know what I'm saying? You know how some fathers, like say your son, he on his bike and he fall down, son start crying. They might slap him side his head and say, "What you doing? Get back on that damn bike, boy, and stop crying."
Yeah.
I ain't do that. I said, get back on the bike. But if you got to cry, cry.
Yeah.
You understand? So meaning we're not going to stop your progression, but you know what? Go through the emotions of your progression. You understand? Because a lot of Black fathers don't understand. If you tell him to get up back on that bike and cry, you're stopping his progression by stopping the emotion coming along with the progression. Does that make sense?
That makes
you
a lot
understand? For
that's
real.
Why so many emotionally handicapped people out here.
Oh man, there's a lot out here, and they're undiagnosed, and they are in pain, and they're causing trauma to themselves and the world.
Yeah,
you're right.
Do you have kids?
I have 2 daughters, 12 and 10. My oldest, she lives in Mississippi with me. She's currently with my mom, her grandmother, and she lives in Georgia, and she's with her mother.
Okay.
Wow. So what is that
I got
like?
2 girls myself, man. It's different having girls than boys. It's a whole different trajectory of the one. I don't mean to cut you off, Portia. I had a friend, well, he was a colleague of mine when I was working like maybe about 15 years ago. And I had my son already. My son was already like 8. And I was about to have my firstborn daughter. She's 9 now. So when, I told him, yeah, my wife about to have, well, she was my girlfriend at the time. My girlfriend's about to have her baby, et cetera, et cetera. He was like, yo, Q. He said, check it out. He said, when you have your daughter, it's going to be totally different. I'm like, what you talking about? I'm like, come on. I just want my daughter. You know how it is. I want my daughter just to be healthy, et cetera, et cetera. He said, nah. I'm telling you, when you have your daughter, it's going to be a different outlook on this life thing as a man. And at the time, I was like, whatever. I just want my daughter to be healthy. Man, when my daughter came out, I cried like a baby. You understand? Instinctively. I didn't have that same emotion with my son. I'm not saying that's good or bad. But when you have your little girl, now you start putting this life thing in perspective because you are a man. You understand what the capabilities are of men. And you saying to yourself, what do I got to do to keep her out of harm's way? Because you can't see your daughter going through no type of heartache, no type of pain. Definitely by way of another guy. You're not having that. Period. Mm-hmm. That's not happening in life, in any man's mind when they come to his daughter. So you having 2 daughters, I can understand. I already know how you feel about having 2 daughters. It's a different mindset.
So tell us about being a father, especially a Black father from your perspective.